Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of In My Plant-Based Kitchen. I am Emma Levesque-Laroque. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist. I have Peggy with me here today. You can see her. I'm pet sitting for my sister this weekend. And so Peggy is joining us in My Plant-Based Kitchen as well. And today we are making salsa. So every year I make actually several batches of salsa in one day, one big salsa day. Often my husband is here and we make a party of it and turn on some music and just cut everything up and get everything going. But he's in camp right now fighting forest fires. So I am on my own for salsa day. So I thought I would invite you into my plant-based kitchen. This is a recipe from Mel's Kitchen Cafe, I think it is. I will put the link below. I have been using it for years. It really is. It's called the best homemade salsa, and it really is. It is my go-to salsa recipe. I've been making it now for probably 5 years. And just like she says in her description, every time I give away a jar, I usually get asked for the recipe. So there are some really cool tricks that she shares that I've been doing for years that make this a pretty easy process. So I thought I would invite you to come along on the journey with me today, and we'll see how it goes. So I have I've gotten all organized. I have my jars sterilizing in the dishwasher. I have my water ready to boil in the water canner. But the first thing that we need to do is get everything ready. So I have got 40 pounds of tomatoes. I'm going to just turn this around so that you can see my huge box of tomatoes, Roma tomatoes from Terra Nostra Farm here in town. I've also got a bunch of onions. I'm doubling the recipe. So the recipe calls for 3 cups of chopped onions, and I'm going to be doing 6 cups. Green peppers, it calls for 1 3/4 cups of green peppers. So I will be using about 3.5 cups, and it calls for 7 cloves of garlic. So I'll probably end up using 2 bulbs. I love garlic, so I might even throw in the 3rd one. It calls for 5 jalapenos. I got some, this is all from Terra Nostra Farm. Amazing to have such a resource, and we have many farms here in Pell River, and I'm sure there are hopefully farms around where you are as well. So I've got just some hot peppers. I've got 1 jalapeno, but it was a mixed bag of hot peppers. So I'm going to put 3 in. I'm going to exclude the seeds because that obviously makes it more spicy. I'm going to be really careful with my hands because I, in the past, have gotten the oils from the hot peppers on my hands and suffered for a couple of days afterwards. Make sure you don't rub your eyes. And what else are we going to put in here? So that's pretty much all the vegetables, I think. I am not going to use the cilantro because Matt hates cilantro, so I never put the cilantro in. That's one of the few alterations I make. And the other ingredients that I'm going to be putting in are over here. So I've got some organic tomato sauce that doesn't have any salt added or anything. So I've got 3 cans of that to put in. It's important for the acidity as well as the texture of the end result salsa. The recipe says you can or not use tomato paste as well to thicken it up. I like it without the tomato paste, so I never use the tomato paste. We're going to be using some apple cider vinegar. I'm going to grind up some cumin seeds. I like grinding them fresh because you just get there's so much fresher rather than buying the powder. If you buy the powder and it's pretty new, great. But I go through a lot of cumin, so I just buy the seeds and grind it as I go in my little grinder here, which I'm going to be doing. I've got some organic cane sugar that will go in. I've got some Himalayan pink Himalayan sea salt and some coarse pepper. So in the recipe again, she mentions that you can use pickling salt or there are different notes about the salt. I've always used this Himalayan salt and it turns out great. So I'm going to use that. Now, the first thing that we need to do, we're going to chop everything up and put it into a huge pot that's on the stove. So this is the biggest, this is where most of the work is. And this is where it helps if you've got a team or a helper. It's really helpful. But the first thing that we're going to do is the most labor intensive, which is roasting the tomatoes. Or not, actually, we're not really roasting them. We're just broiling them for a few minutes, putting them under the broiler for a few minutes. And it is the easiest way to get skin off. I love this method because it always was like, oh, I want to make salsa, but I don't really want to be water, putting the little X in it, boiling the water, dealing with trying to take the skin off. It never worked out well for me. So, I mean, if you do it that way, you can totally do it that way, but I love this method. So I have just roughly rinsed these Roma tomatoes. And so I just take the little green part off, you cut them in half, you put them onto your tray. I'm going to fill up this whole tray with doing exactly the same thing. And so you just put them face down on your tray. It actually helps. I like using this tray if you've got trays with a bit of an edge, because you do get a little bit of the liquid starts to come out of them. And you just basically fill up tray after tray, broil them for a couple of minutes. You get into kind of a system, which you'll be seeing what my system is here as we go. And when they come out, I give them a few minutes to cool off so that I can, work with them with my hands and not burn my fingers. I've got a little blemish there, so I'm just going to cut that off. And then basically the skins just come off like it's amazing. It's just so easy. We've got another little visitor in that one. So I'm going to show you that, and I won't make you hang around for the whole process. We'll skip through some of the long work, but once the first that basically I'm just doing this until all of my tomatoes have been all the skins are off. So I'm gonna turn up my tunes, get going with my my chopping, and I will see you in a little bit when I have some roasting action, removal of skin to share with you. So the first batch of tomatoes are out of the oven. I will often do this close to the sink because it just makes sense. But because I'm showing this to you today, I am gonna do the first batch here. I need a fork or two. They're gonna be a bit hot right now, but if you let them cool down a little bit, usually if you get, as you go, you get into a bit of a rotation of, because you're doing pan after pan after pan of these. And actually, I also need another bowl. For the discarded tomato skins. So I've got my big bowl here that the tomatoes are gonna go in. And you can see how easily the skins come off. So it literally is a matter of, and when they're a bit hot, it might be nice to use a fork because then you don't burn your fingers. But you just kind of pinch them and off come the skins. So easy. And another of my timers just went off, so I've got another tray probably ready to come out. So I am going to get that out. And I'm going to set up another spot over there with a heat protector on the counter so that that can just sit and cool while I do the rest of these. And that's kind of the rhythm you're gonna get into. And then once this is done, I'll wipe the tray off. In fact, I'm gonna try and use a different one, I think. And then we will carry on. Okay, here we go. Now they're quite nice and cool. Oops. This is why it really helps actually to have another person helping you, because this goes a lot faster and they're loading up another tray while you're peeling the first ones, or they could be doing the other chopping. So it literally does cut the time in half. So if you do have someone else who can help you, I would highly recommend that. And it's more fun. I don't worry about taking out the middle too much. I find, especially with cutting up in the food processor, well, what I mean is this part, you might want to remove that if you're really sensitive to textures, but I really like to leave in as much of the vegetable as I can, just as a general rule for when I'm cooking. So it's extra fiber and you get more out of your salsa. This is not necessarily a really cheap thing to make unless you have your own tomatoes or can get a great deal on some tomatoes. But so I really like to try to make it go as far as I can. And I don't want to get rid of more stuff than I need to. I'm already getting quite a bit of liquid in here, just water, like just a bit of water. So I think what I'll do is just drain that off. Okay, and I have another pan ready to come out. But I wanted to show you this. I am getting, I don't know if you can see this, quite a bit of extra liquid. Here, I'll flip back. Probably got about maybe half a cup or something like that. So I'll drain that off, and then I'll put this into a big bowl, put it aside, ready for the food processor in the next step. Hello, I'm back. The tomatoes are all peeled and in the pot. I ended up having about 40 cups of tomatoes. So I adjusted the recipe accordingly, which means it's about 4 times the amount. And I've had to split it into 2 pots because even my big pot won't hold the whole thing. But I have done all the chopping, and I'm now ready to put it all. I've actually added it to the small pot, but I wanted to just walk you through this stage of it as well. So I chopped up my onions in the food processor, same with the garlic. I had the food processor out anyway to process the tomatoes a little bit down. I did end up having to strain quite a bit of water out of these ones, so that was interesting. And I didn't mash them down. That's what I didn't do. I just let them drain naturally, got rid of that liquid, and then put them in the food processor and put them into the pot. So they've been just on low, staying warm, getting and staying warm. I chopped up by hand my green peppers because I don't want, I find with the food processor, it's really hard to make sure you get a bigger texture. So it's easy to over process them. So I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead, and I've got this huge pot here, and I'll do some close-ups with my iPhone and put this on so you can see close-up while it's in. So this is a lot of onion going in. So that is in the pot. I've got my garlic all minced up. It's 18 cloves of garlic, which is going to be amazing. And if you are doing it by hand, a tip for you about the garlic is that you can just, because otherwise after this, my hands are going to smell like garlic for days. And if you just rub your hands on something stainless steel, it actually it's amazing. Somebody in one of my cooking classes taught me this, or told me about this trick, and the smell of garlic goes away. So anyway, just a quick tip for you on that. I've got my my green pepper that it's going to go in. And this can all just go in at the same time. I'm going to stir it up here. It's going to be a very full pot. It's already almost to the top. I'm going to have a lot of salsa to put into jars here very shortly. Okay, let's get the rest of the stuff in. Got my apple cider vinegar all measured out. and my cumin, my brown cumin, and my black pepper. I actually reduced the black pepper a little bit because I want to make sure it wasn't too hot and spicy. My salt, and my sugar. My cat is joining us. Might be able to hear her. And my measly amount of jalapeno. I cut this up, and it was it's super spicy. Some jalapenos are more so than others, for sure. And it was like hurting my eyes, and I thought, you know what, I don't want it to be too spicy, so I just put a little bit in. And then I've got 3 cans of tomato sauce. Don't even think about it. My cat's thinking to come up on the counter. She's wondering who I'm talking to. Okay. And what we want to do now is bring it to a boil. We're going to boil it for about 10 minutes, and then it's all ready to go into the cans, into the jars. So I'm keeping my jars hot in the dishwasher, and I will be taking them out. I boiled my lids, so they're all ready to go as well. And yeah, so I'm going to clean up a little bit while my salsa comes to a boil and boils up. And then I will meet you back here to show you some of the actual process of putting them in the jars in the water bath. Okay, the salsa has been cooking for 10 minutes. It's just been simmering away. I brought it to a boil, cooked it for 10 minutes. And it is, I've already bottled a couple just because the pot was so full. It was hard to move it. But now I've got all my jars ready here. I've got a nice funnel that fits the jars well. Ouch, try not to splash yourself like that. If you have a nice soup ladle, that's perfect. And you're just going to transfer the salsa into the jars, leaving about 1/4 inch of space at the top. You don't want to leave much more or less than that, because if you are canning them. So they're going to be really hot. They're already a bit hot still from the dishwasher, but they're going to be really hot once you put the salsa into them. So just be really mindful of, it's not a bad idea to wear safety glasses. When Matt does this with me, he always does. If you're at all worried about splashing or anything like that. And then you just basically are going to fill these all up. And as you go, you want to I have my boiling water over here with my lids and the rings and the caps in them. And you want to make sure that this part of the lid is clean, and doesn't have any salsa on it, which is very easy for it to get salsa on it as you are putting it in there. Because if it has any food remnants on it, then the lid won't be able to seal properly. And if you have a tool like this one, it's just a little stick with a magnet on the end, which actually I didn't have. One of my friends gave it to me. And it is absolutely brilliant because we've got a steaming pot of, here you can see right here, a steaming pot, and it is magnetic. And so it just picks up the lids, and then you can just transfer them on. And then the ring, you don't want it to fit the ring too tightly, just loosely. And then this is ready to go into the water bath. And the water is just, I'm just reboiling it because, oops. Lid first. Go. Ring. And so on. And repeat. Our hot water bath is boiling away. You can also see the second batch of salsa boiling away. I've just turned it down. And I have enough jars ready to go in for the first water bath. It takes, you want to keep it in there for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to get that started because I'm going to have a few batches to do. And what I'm going to do is use this funky tool and very carefully grip the salsa jar and put it into the bag one after another until it's full. And the water is just over the lids. I just go and put it around the outside of the perimeter of the pot. And then stick one in the middle as well. And cook for 15 minutes and I'll carry on filling the rest of the jars. And that is it. So it's been a long day. It's a long process. It's a lot of work to do this volume by yourself. So I've been missing my my husband who normally helps me with this today for sure. And if you are doing this, especially for the first time, I recommend doing it with a friend or having a helper with you. But it is worth it because we will have delicious salsa for the whole year. This is, I'm not sure exactly how much it will make yet, but I will include those details. And I would love to hear if you are preserving something, or if you have your own favorite salsa recipe, or there's something else you love making. I do pickles and also every year, which I've already done, and usually blackberry jam or some kind of jam. So those are the things I do every year. And then sometimes I try other things as well. But those are my 3 things that I pretty much always want to have in my pantry. So that's it for In My Plant-Based Kitchen this week. If there's something that you're interested in learning about or talking about or having me talk about on this this weekly show, I guess that's what it is, just leave me a note in the forum with the link below, question about nutrition or something that you just like to hear a little bit more about in terms of plant-based cooking. I would love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day. Happy canning.